So I'll jump in quickly to my slides and try to keep it fairly brief. So first, welcome to LUG, and I'll jump into the OpenSFS update. So we've been very successful over the past 4 years in transitioning Lustre from when we were transitioning out of Oracle into a community platform. OpenSFS emerged and was really successful in saving Lustre at that point, as well as the other community platforms, EOFS, the companies that banded together to help drive the technology forward, Zyratex, as well as Intel, WAM Cloud at the time, now Intel, DDN, Cray, I'll miss a few, NetApp, others joined in and said, look, this technology is critical to our business. The user community came together and said, this technology is critical to our to meeting our customers' demands, meeting our user requirements, and we banded together under the auspices of 3 core community platforms, OpenSFS, EOFS, and HPCFS. Initially, OpenSFS was formed to address that vacuum that was created when Oracle made announcements regarding their future plans for Lustre as a technology. We then moved forward fairly quickly with a core number of founding members to get funding on the street and to advance the technology so that it would continue to progress. We've started by first funding some NRE development, and you're starting to see the fruits of that now in Lustre releases, in Lustre 2.4, Lustre 2.5, Lustre 2.6, seeing things like D&E, so that we can improve the scalability of metadata operations within Lustre. We then also stepped forward and began helping fund, in part, the core work in feature releases. This was to help offset that cost that WAM Cloud was covering at the time, and as WAM Cloud transitioned into Intel, continued to cover. And we have to date funded that core effort to have regular, reliable releases coming out with core feature sets that your customers care about and that your end users care about. At the time, other communities arose, both EOFS and HPCFS, through a series of discussions and really consensus building. HPCFS joined OpenSFS, and we formed an alliance with EOFS, and now we have the 2 community platforms. So that's why we're up here discussing our core investments and the core strengths in the community. And Hugo will follow with some updates on what EOFS has been up to. So we were really critical for establishing a basis for the developers to rely upon so that we can continue moving the technology forward. And we were actually quite successful, right? And as a result, the marketplace has matured. To date, we have Fortune 500 companies now in the mix with Lustre, really supporting the open source nature of the technology. With Intel's acquisition of WAM Cloud, and more recently Seagate's announcement to acquire Zyratex, we now have 2 major corporations standing behind this technology, which I think is really a testament to where we've come from. And we've got many other institutions, many other companies standing behind the technology, from Cray to DDN to NetApp to EMC. Many others who are standing behind this technology, building integrated products around this technology for the end users. We've got multiple national laboratories using this, academia, and it's starting to make an inroad into the enterprise market, which we think is key. But looking back on what we achieved in 2013, it really was a big year for our organization, for Lustre in general. We had 2 major new releases of Lustre 2.4 and Lustre 2.5. Lustre 2.5 saw core features that were contributed by the community. CEA stood up and provided HSM capabilities that OpenSFS helped fund integration into the feature release that came out as Lustre 2.5. We had core metadata scaling technologies delivered in Lustre 2.4 this year. So we had those 2 major new releases. We had 2 new participants join. We had our first Asian Pacific participant join OpenSFS with Fujitsu announcing, and more recently NCSA, who has one of the largest Lustre file systems in the world, joined our organization as well. We established the open community portal for Lustre, so now you can go to lustre.opensfs.org, and I hope very soon that will be lustre.org. And I think with Ken's announcement, we'll be on our way to making that happen. A continued partnership with EOFS, a stronger partnership that we've formed since we've been working on since 2011. In fact, probably before that, 2010, I believe. And our first annual APAC LUG 13 in China and Japan, where we had approximately 100 attendees at both of those venues. These LUGs had been established in the past. Intel and DDN and others had APACs, had LUGs in both Japan and China previously. But we worked with them and brought additional community members into the organizing of those events and established them as actual community LUG events moving forward. We've got the largest, we had the largest LUG 2013 to date, and now we've got the largest LUG 2014 to date. So we continue to see this momentum building up. And we had a very successful Lustre BOF at SC. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to be there. I had a brand new baby at the time, but I hear that it went quite well, and I know Tommy Mignard led that up, and along with Hugo Falter, and from everything I hear, it was a very successful event. So I'm pleased to announce that as well. We've gone through some enhancements to our communications. We've onboarded a web czar who is working about half-time, dedicated to website activities, and we've got a dedicated contract for having our communications on the website be beefed up, as well as within lustre.opensfs.org. We also brought on a new member of the team for marketing, and we established a marketing working group. Jesse Kastman is actually running that working group, and we've had, I think, a really good track record in 2013 of getting communications out to the community, trumpeting the technology, really being the vendor-neutral platform for Lustre, trying to grow that marketplace so that we can get more users involved in the technology, grow the ecosystem, grow the developer community, grow the features that we all need. So what were our investments in 2013? We put about $3 million into the community in total. We've got about $1 million going into core Lustre feature development. This represents about 31% of our budget. We have about $1.3 million going into tree maintenance. That's actually $1.5 million, a slight accounting error based on the window that we captured these numbers. But it's $1.5 million per annum going into Lustre tree support. That represents over 40% of our budget. We beefed up more recently a lot of our events, so now that's about 8% of our budget at $267,000. And other pieces of note, marketing and communications, we've bumped up this year. In 2013, we spent $100,000. In FY14, we're on track to spend $200,000 in marketing and communications. So this is where your money's going. We're trying to be good stewards of that money. We've put in place a new management organization as of last year, VTM, who's really helped us streamline operations. And we hope to provide more and more snapshots of where we're making these core investments moving forward. But to a large extent, we've been very successful in building the market, helping build the market in part for Lustre. And so we feel that now it really is a much more stable marketplace, a much more stable environment for Lustre to continue to move forward. So we're going to be redoubling our efforts on really promoting the technology, helping grow the business, helping grow the user base, because that's good for us as end users. It means we've got more developers who are funded. It means we've got more people interested in the technology. It means there's a long-term future for this technology moving forward. So we're really redoubling those efforts in the community. We're going to be focusing on events as we always have, LUG, APAC LUG, LAD, SC, promotion. Now with the lustre.org announcement, you'll be seeing additional effort going into website, email campaigns, some amount of press releases, and featured articles about how how users are using the technology, new features that, that users should get excited about, getting that out to the community for broad dissemination. We'll be working on user coordination, coordinating this broad community of developers that we now have within the Lustre ecosystem, so that we can, through working groups like the Community Development Working Group, which you'll hear an update on a bit later in the program, we'll continue our requirements gathering processes, our community development of individual features from different sites, helping organize that so that we can land those features in specific releases, working with the core developers at Intel and other major organizations to drive that feature roadmap into the future and be able to open up the development process so that additional community members can plug in and get their features upstream. Other aspects that we'll be focusing on, Community Lustre portal and community email lists. And what we would ask is that as we start rolling these things out, please contribute. Please help us become the community nexus for all things Lustre. We believe it's very important to have a vendor-neutral platform that users can come and plug into, that vendors can refer potential customers to. We really do want to grow OpenSFS and EOFS as the community nexus for all things Lustre. So we need your help to do that as we start to roll out new things like the wiki, new updated email list. Please join, please encourage others to join. We need your help to make this a success, because without the end users, it really won't move forward. But we'd like to thank all of our OpenSFS participants. Without their core funding, without their support, we wouldn't be able to do all that we are able to do. And we would also like to take a moment just quickly and again thank our LUG 2014 sponsors, Cray, Data Direct Networks, Intel, System Fabrics Works, Warp Mechanics, Zyratex, some of our silver sponsors, and Computing and Bull. I'd be remiss not to actually at least put a plug in for all of our individual OpenSFS participants: Cray, Livermore, Oak Ridge, Zyratex, Data Direct Networks, EMC, Intel, NCSA, Sandia National Labs, Aon Computing, AWE, BP, Fermilab, Fujitsu, Indiana University, NASA, NetApp, SGI, TAC, Terrascala, and University of Florida. Help us grow this membership. Tell everybody what we're doing with OpenSFS. Tell people why this community platform is important, and just help us grow the organization. And with that, I'll hand it over to Hugo for an update on EOFS. Thank you all.